and all this other social media, all this other stuff that swirls around the team. He hasn't been involved with that. For me, he's a different guy yet. Does he want to sign on to all that type of stuff? I don't know if he does.
Yeah. Overall impressions of free agency to this point. Obviously, a lot of news made, and the NBA fan seems to love it. And every year at this time, it's a frenzy, and it's really well covered, and it's really loved, especially by the millennials, the target audience. Adam Silver's done a great job in that regard. A lot of old fans, as you know, miss the old games and the fact that you knew the rosters were going to be and the real rivalries that were there. But the new NBA seems to be thriving the way it is. What are your thoughts?
Well, the millennials and everybody knows today it's all about guys teaming up. Yep. Brooklyn hit a home run with guys teaming up. I mean, I know Kevin Durant's not going to play next year, and there are questions about Kyrie Irving, what happened in Boston. But I'm going to tell you, I think it's the greatest free agent haul in the history of the NBA. Considering it's not the Knicks who got these guys, it's the number 2 team, the decided number 2 team, the team that is living in the huge shadow of the New York Knicks. And as bad as the Knicks have been for the better part of the last 20 years, some moments, you know, where they made the playoffs, but for the most part, James Dolan and his guys have done a terrible job. The Knicks still are the dominant team that everybody talks about, and the Nets have been operating since they've come into the NBA. From the ABA, in that under that vast shadow. Only, you know, couple of years with Jason Kidd, they went to the finals. It seemed like nobody cared, and for them to land maybe the best player in the game, who's going to be obviously coming off an Achilles, and one of the top offensive players in his generation, in Kyrie Irving, I think it tops what Miami did with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, because Wade had already won a title when LeBron and Bosh went down to Miami, and Miami had the type of team that was like, yeah, you know, they got Pat Riley and they've won a title and they're, you know, they're very, so, hey, I look at it and I was just, that tells you a lot about the job Sean Marks has done, Kenny Atkinson. The Knicks like to talk that they've changed the culture. Players want to play there, and that's proved to you and everybody else and to me, guys take us seriously. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving wants to come here. That's a real culture change from New Jersey. Right, from Brooklyn, and those guys were like, the Nets were like dead in the water like 3 years ago, right? So that's to me the number one story of this whole free agency. Now, if Kawhi goes to the Lakers and forms a super team, that will surpass the Nets. But right now, the Nets are the leaders in terms of making the big splash, and good for them. And then conversely, here in New York, as you know, it's just a disaster for the Knicks because it's one thing. I mean, you know, when you look at the Knicks, especially. They've never gotten the biggest free agent. They've tried to get LeBron James. He likes to come to New York to play against the Knicks, but not to play for them. And they never had a shot in a couple of times he's been a free agent. They've never gotten meetings with Kevin Durant. Here is a situation where, you know, they're not just losing, but basically they're irrelevant. And the reason I'll back up is, guys, they can't even get meetings with the top free agents. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, you know, Kawhi Leonard. And so it's really disappointing for the Knicks fans to crush them, Chris, because you have a guy, Kevin Durant, who up until a few weeks ago was letting people through his, you know, his associates, business people, like, yeah, he's strongly considering the New York Knicks. Usually guys of Kevin Durant's stature in the sport don't want to play in New York. That's why this one is really hurting, because he not just went to the, you know, the Nets. He also was a guy who, like, Knicks fans were like, wow, this guy wants to play for us. They've never had a player. They've had some great legendary players. I go back to Walt Frazier and Willis Reed and, you know, more recently Patrick Hughes. They've never had an offensive player like Kevin Durant. And so that is really, this was a debacle of the first degree. And it has to be a very sobering time for James Dolan, Steve Mills. Steve Mills has been around for a lot of losing here, and Scott Perry, who's only been here a few years, whatever. But for those guys to tell their fans, like James Dolan said, yo, we're going to have a very successful.
Right, that's the big thing. You can't do that.
I'll tell you something. Yeah. That backfired in his face, and they look bad, and this is a thing where they got a lot of soul searching to do.
Yeah, under promise, over deliver never goes out of style, and you just can't open your mouth and then not deliver. You just can't. I mean, you just, in any business, but certainly not in a public business. We're talking to Mitch Lawrence about the NBA. What other ones impressed you? A lot of thought that Brad Stevens sleep a lot better with Kemba Walker than he did with Kyrie Irving, that kind of leadership is what the Celtics needed. You got Jimmy Butler down in Miami. That Riley's never going to give up. They're going to battle. I mean, I don't know if they're good enough to do anything, but they're going to battle and not sit still very often. Horford goes to the Sixers. Milwaukee gets their people back. It's Lopez back. What struck you?
Well, the Boston thing immediately, because they lost a lot in Al Horford leaving for Philadelphia within the division, and they lost a lot with Kyrie. Now, obviously, Kyrie, well, that was a disaster last year. He was not a number one guy. He proved that. He was not a good leader. He was a bad leader, as a matter of fact. People just look at leadership as, oh, a leader is a good leader. You can be a bad leader, too. He was a bad leader. Couldn't act, had problems with Brad Stevens, had problems, I guess, with the front office, and then the biggest